World War III. HOW, could the next global war begin? A 10 to 15-minute documentary script. What would happen if a conflict between two nations suddenly pulled the entire world into war? History has already witnessed two global wars. The First World War began in 1914 and transformed Europe into a battlefield. Just 21 years after its end, the Second World War erupted, spreading across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. But today, humanity possesses something the leaders of 1914 and 1939 did not have on such a scale: nuclear weapons. So what would World War III actually look like? Would it begin with a massive invasion? A missile strike? A cyber attack? Or could a regional conflict slowly develop into a confrontation between the world's most powerful nations? World War III has not happened, but understanding history can help us understand how such a catastrophe might develop and why nations continue trying to prevent it. Chapter 1. THE Lesson of World War I. 050 to 210. To understand the possibility of another world war, we must first look at the first one. In 1914, Europe was divided by powerful alliances, military competition, nationalism, and political tensions. Then, on June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated in Sarajevo. The assassination did not automatically make the event a world war, but the alliance system transformed a regional crisis into a massive international conflict. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia supported Serbia. Germany supported Austria-Hungary. France and Britain became involved. Soon, millions of soldiers were fighting across Europe and beyond. The First World War demonstrated a dangerous historical lesson. A conflict that begins locally can become global when powerful nations and alliances become involved. The war eventually ended in 1918, but the peace that followed failed to eliminate many of the tensions that had caused the conflict. And less than a generation later, the world entered an even larger war. Chapter 2. WORLD War II. 210 to 340. In 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland. Britain and France declared war on Germany. Once again, alliances and competing interests transformed a European conflict into a global struggle. Germany expanded across Europe. Japan was fighting across Asia and the Pacific. Italy joined Germany. The Soviet Union eventually fought against Nazi Germany. And after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in December 1941, the United States entered the war. The conflict became truly global. World War II ended in 1945 after enormous destruction and the deaths of tens of millions of people. But the end of World War II created a new international order, and with it came one of the most dangerous rivalries in modern history. Chapter 3. THE Cold War. 3:40 to 5 o'clock. After 1945, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the world's two dominant superpowers. They did not fight each other directly in a full-scale war. Instead, they competed through military alliances, political influence, intelligence operations, technological competition, and conflicts involving other countries. The United States and its allies created NATO in 1949. The Soviet Union and its allies later formed the Warsaw Pact. And above everything was the threat of nuclear war. The world came frighteningly close to direct nuclear confrontation during the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. For 13 days, the United States and Soviet Union faced an extraordinary crisis involving Soviet missiles in Cuba. Eventually, both sides stepped back. That moment became one of history's clearest demonstrations of nuclear deterrence. Sometimes, the fear of destruction can prevent nations from choosing war. The Cold War ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Many believed the age of major power confrontation was over, but geopolitical competition never disappeared. Chapter 4. THE World After the Cold War. 5 o'clock to 6:30. The decades after the Cold War brought enormous changes. The United States became the world's dominant military power. China experienced extraordinary economic growth and became a major global power. Russia remained a major military and nuclear power. Meanwhile, NATO expanded to include additional European countries. The international system became increasingly interconnected, but new tensions emerged. Relations between Russia and Western countries deteriorated. China and the United States increasingly competed over technology, trade, military influence, and regional security, and several regions remained vulnerable to conflict. This does not mean World War III is inevitable. In fact, the opposite is important to understand. Competition between major powers does not automatically lead to world war. Diplomacy, economic relationships, international organizations, military deterrence, and communication channels can all reduce the possibility of escalation. But the risks remain. Chapter 5. HOW. Could World War III begin? 6:30 to 8:30. There is no single predicted starting point for World War III. Any scenario would be speculative. But analysts frequently discuss several types of situations that could create a major international crisis. Scenario 1. NATO Russia escalation. A serious confrontation between Russia and a NATO member could create pressure for other countries to become involved. NATO's collective defense principle means an armed attack against one member can have consequences for the alliance as a whole. The greatest danger would be uncontrolled escalation between nuclear-armed powers. Scenario 2. A Taiwan crisis. Another frequently discussed possibility involves Taiwan. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory, while Taiwan operates with its own democratic government. The United States maintains an important but deliberately complex relationship with Taiwan. A military crisis in the Taiwan Strait could therefore involve several major powers. However, whether such a crisis would become a global war is impossible to predict. Scenario 3. A regional conflict expands. History shows that conflicts can spread when outside powers intervene. A war in one region could potentially draw in neighboring countries or larger powers through alliances, military assistance, or retaliation. The danger would increase if multiple conflicts began interacting with each other. Scenario 4. Cyber and space conflict. A future major conflict might not begin with tanks crossing a border. It could begin digitally. Cyber attacks could target communications, transportation, financial systems, military networks, or critical infrastructure. Space systems could also become strategically important because modern militaries depend heavily on satellites, but cyber attacks do not automatically mean world war. The key danger would be misinterpretation and escalation. Chapter 6. Nuclear question. 8:30 to 10 o'clock. There is one factor that makes a potential World War III fundamentally different from the wars of the 20th century. Nuclear weapons. Today, several countries possess nuclear arsenals. These weapons are designed to create such devastating consequences that their existence can discourage direct attacks between nuclear powers. This is known as nuclear deterrence, but deterrence also creates an enormous danger. If leaders misunderstand an opponent's intentions, if communication breaks down, or if a crisis escalates beyond control, the consequences could be catastrophic. This is why nuclear-armed countries maintain communication channels and systems designed to reduce the risk of accidental or unauthorized use. The objective is not to win a nuclear war. The objective is to prevent one from happening. Chapter 7. Role of technology. 10 o'clock to 11:10. A future global conflict would also look very different from World War II. Artificial intelligence, drones, satellites, cyber operations, precision weapons, autonomous systems, and information warfare could play major roles. Instead of only watching armies move across borders, people could experience a conflict through disrupted communications, cyber attacks, satellite failures, economic instability, and information campaigns. Technology could make warfare faster, but it could also make misunderstanding more dangerous. A false report, a technical failure, or a misinterpreted military movement could create pressure for leaders to act before the situation is fully understood. That is why communication and verification would be critical during any international crisis. Chapter 8. World War III actually happen? 11:10 to 12:30. The honest answer is, nobody knows. There is no reliable way to predict a future world war. Some scenarios discussed by analysts are extremely dangerous. Others may never happen. History teaches us that unexpected events can change the international system very quickly. But history also shows that countries can step back from the edge. During the Cold War, the United States and Soviet Union repeatedly faced serious confrontations without entering direct war. Diplomacy prevented some crises from becoming disasters. International institutions created channels for negotiation. And nuclear deterrence encouraged leaders to recognize the enormous consequences of direct confrontation. The existence of danger does not mean catastrophe is inevitable. The final question, 1230 to 1400. Perhaps the most important question is not, when will World War III begin? The better question is, how can humanity prevent it? The history of the 20th century gives us a warning. World War I showed how alliances and political crises can create unexpected escalation. World War II demonstrated the terrible consequences of unchecked aggression. The Cold War showed how close powerful nations can come to catastrophe and how diplomacy can pull them back. Today, the world is more connected than ever. That connection creates competition, but it also creates reasons to cooperate. Nations trade with one another. People communicate across borders. Scientists collaborate. Diplomats negotiate. And millions of ordinary people around the world have no desire to become soldiers in another global conflict. World War III is not a historical event. It is a possibility and a warning. The future has not been written. The decisions made by governments, military leaders, diplomats, and societies can influence what comes next. History cannot guarantee peace, but history can teach us what happens when fear, nationalism, miscalculation, and unchecked escalation overcome diplomacy. The greatest victory would not be winning World War III. It would be making sure humanity never has to fight it, because the most powerful weapon in the modern world may not be the one that destroys the enemy. It may be the wisdom to prevent the war from beginning.